finished up morning movements, and I wanted to talk more about my aging post, but first about the anniversary of my dad's surgery. Yes, my dad's surgery, because it's called my dad's surgery. And it's in the Webster's dictionary as my dad's surgery, which is kind of sick and grotesque that a surgery is so popular that it ends up being in the fucking dictionary. But here we are. So along those lines of the Aaron Rodgers post again with the ruptured Achilles, it wouldn't stand to natural evolution and adaptation that a human being would be susceptible to just rupture. Or my dad's ligament turning into glass and just shattering into 50 pieces. So because that is unnatural, because that just doesn't, when you sit back and think about it, make any sense, and because if you think about it too, we wouldn't be doing so well if shit like that, like ruptures of Achilles or ligaments, could just explode all of a sudden. And as I said again, you weren't hit by a car, didn't fall off a building, or weren't jumping from a moving train because you were stealing methylamine for your meth empire in New Mexico. So the body warns well before it starts screaming, yelling, just like Dr. Cassie's analogy, the water bubbles before it boils, or it warms before it boils. The same thing happens. Discs don't just herniate in an accident. The accident created a scenario that caused them to go get an image, and then their image is going to show shit that's been sitting there for 20 to 30 years. And it was only now that it had to get your attention at this level. So again, in my dad's story, when I say Tommy John surgery is one of the most unnecessary surgeries in the history of surgeries. I mean, there should have only been one. His. And then after that, that's it. Because what you have to go through to get to the point of needing a fucking ligament transplant surgery, you've been ignoring, hiding, naturally crippling yourself with therapies and treatments and protocols and trainers and therapists and all this bullshit, or breaking even higher rules like what my dad did. And it was all about his choice of survival, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's his choice. But a surgery in a sport where the person performing gets to have time in between performances, predictable time, can swap out equipment if he doesn't like how the equipment feels in his hands, can dab his brow, catch his breath, get a refreshment between plays. I mean, it's so fucking embarrassing that a surgery and pitchers, a starting or relieving pitcher, that's one of the most embarrassing things in sports. But here we are. Now, what was the water bubbling before it boiled in my dad's life? Well, when you talk to him, he'd had elbow pain for 11 years of his first part of his career. Body was talking to him well before that. And what did he do? His choice, 50 cortisone shots. So again, is that a breaking a rule of how the body? Sure, for performance, okay. Now he's got to pay the price, which he's totally taken on, because that's what you did. You compete to adapt. You'd say to win, but it's really to adapt, because the team that adapts the most is the one that's going to be victorious. But that was his water bubbling before it boils. So the whole fear of throwing baseballs and arms are just going to explode just doesn't make any sense. But it would when we're talking about orthopedics and sports medicine and physical therapy and conferences and these degrees and licenses, leading the charge and doing the interviews and writing the articles and blah, blah, blah. So same goes with an Achilles rupture, anything else up to that magnitude. Again, unless you got hit by a train, fell off a building, or jumped off of a moving train because you were stealing methylamine to run your meth empire in New Mexico. Now, let's get to the aging post. Now that we've dealt with Tommy John surgery being the most unnecessary surgery, the most avoidable of all, should have been n equals 1, literally him, and then done. But we don't learn lessons, and that's fine. So let's move along here to the second part of this video. Topic number 2, the concept of aging. And I was thinking about this morning, even chatting with Dr. Cassie about it, because she saw my post. And we see it all the time around where we live. And age is literally just how long you've been here. I mean, period. And whatever you want to measure it in, years, or if you think you've been here in past lives or whatever, that's fine. But what we've allowed in are people to predict your age based on what your body expresses, how your body functions, what it feels like. And it's really, they've gotten the story in your mind. You believe that it's when you age, you have to stop doing the things you love. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Just think about it. In all the glory of the human, in everything that you think you've read about and you think is true, just the evolutionary development of a human being. My God, just watch a baby and how it develops into an adult. All right, that's just first and foremost in the fastest timeline that we can sit and witness for ourselves. Would it make sense that the longer we're here, the more we get to experience? The more opportunity, the more people we meet, the more things we see, the more things we taste, the more things we can bring in as an applicable knowledge through experience. Does it make sense that we would decline? That doesn't make any fucking sense that we would stop per our experiences here with how we're equipped. Why all of a sudden would it be developmental to experience time early on and not that case later in life? That doesn't make any sense at all. But the people that want you to buy the stories, shit, yeah, if I'm a practitioner and I'm going to manage everybody, that's what the holistic side does. They don't have any fucking clue. Allopathic will just say they're going to ram you. Holistic's like, duh, I don't duh. And then they're like, well, let's manage it and just keep everybody comfortable naturally as you decline in this life. And yeah, fit over 40. And then some gym meme or whatever, no, they don't get it either. And I get DMs all the time. People are like, so nice you're saying the same language. And then you just go look at their page. They don't have one clue what's going on or what I'm talking about. But it doesn't make any sense that the longer you would be here, the more you would experience, the more information that you would be able to participate in. Even read and intellect and all this stuff, which I can't stand, over the experience of something and pulling that in. But the more time you have here, the less development, the worse off you are, the more you're going to have to leave the things you love. That just doesn't make any sense. Now it's on you and the obligation and the due diligence that you got to put in, just as you did when you were a child on. But difference between you as a 9-month-old and you as a 99-year-old is the 9-month-old can't understand language. They can't read news headlines. They can't go to conferences. They can't go sit at a coffee shop with all these debilitating people accepting that decline happens with age. They can't listen to the practitioners selling the next latest and greatest. They can't understand or take part in all these things that are getting in the way of the natural order and occurrence that happens in the body, which is development and adaptation and healing through time. It's just a constant, continuous up. It's not an up when you're young and then down when you're down is put a baby in a burlap sack with just its head exposed. You could down that baby, although it's going to force itself up like a flower through a sidewalk. There would be those, if you measured it and looked, you do the same thing to a 90-year-old, there'd still be developmental. It just depends who's looking at it. Now you got the morons around here in allopathic and holistic. They wouldn't have any clue, but does it make sense that a human would decline? Now, let's think about this. Aging, as it's been framed to you, is having to give up the things you love. All right, well, let's think about the things you love. Well, being physical with a partner, having children, engaging with your grandchildren or children, just interacting with them in life, travel, hobbies like tennis or bowling or art in some way, and creating musical expression, having to give up these things. All right, now let's take it a step further, because everybody talks about that shit, because these are the things we take for granted. Do you love being able to go to the bathroom without anybody helping you? Do you love being able to actually tell when you have to go to the bathroom, being able to control your bladder and bowels? Do you love being able to sense hunger and being able to get up, go get your food, prepare it by yourself, and then consume it and digest it very well? Do you love being able to go to bed, rest peacefully, and then get out of bed on your own? Do you love being able to wash yourself and clean yourself by yourself with the fantasy of a sponge bath being something that's accessory to, not necessary for how they were designed, like the sexy sponge bath, not the survival sponge bath? Do you love being able to breathe? Do you love being able to feel your feet and hands? Do you love being able to control your hands and feet, being able to tie your shoes? Do you love being able to see, being able to drive? Do you love being able to get yourself from A to B? Do you love being able to make your own fucking decisions? Do you love being able to go where you want, when you want, on your time? Do you love being able to call it your time? Do you love these things? Because that's what people have got conditioned into your mind, holistically and allopathically, is that the more time you spend on this planet, the more you have to give up the things you love. And that could not be further from the truth. So a starting point, and this is, again, Cassie posted something on this with a Rodriguez song, is what do you love? And who are you? Because I can list right now, it would take me days to sit and list the things that I enjoy doing, that I will go ahead and do the work so that I can maintain the experience of and surpass my previous experience of them. But aging, as it's been sold to you, is you are going to have to give up the things you love. Does that feel okay with you? Did you know you don't have to? Did you know it is all your choice? So this whole comparison, I'm gonna be stronger than my neighbor, and we're gonna travel more than their family, and we're gonna have one more kid more than them, and we're gonna stop comparing to anybody else but you and your previous version of you. One, how happy is everybody? Meaning, how in love with their own life are they, or themselves? It's far-fetched. And then two, what do you, who are you? What do you love in this life? What are you willing to do to not give it up? Because it is 100% your choice. And that's what's aging. It is the absolution of needing to give up everything that you love to stay here. Here is for you to love. Now it's on you.